Hello Stampers, it's Linda Schmidt with Stampin' with the Hounds. Thanks for joining me today. I'm getting around to recording this video. Oh my gosh, I've had it prepped and ready to go for like the last 2 weeks, but man, life got a little busy for me. This is continuing with my Bookbinding Fun Fold series that I had started this month in April 2024. I had done the first one where it was taking the bookbinding fold and changing and showing you all the different ways you can alternate that fold. So the first one I had done was that Z-fold one, and I had done another one where it was a gatefold, taking that same concept, and then I had done a inside kind of the pop-up explosion. And the most recent one I had done was the corner pop-out one with the bookbinding fold. And so now today we are going to take that bookbinding fold and now we are going to do it as an easel card. So this was one of the samples, the very first one I had done that I had showed people. But we're going to be doing some other samples, and I'll show you some other samples and then the card we're going to do today. So I did want to showcase, because we have our new catalog for Stampin' Up! Will be coming out May 1st, 2024. And this is one of the new sets that will be available. And it coordinates, if you have Grassy Grove, there's now going to be In the Grove, which has this adorable little fox, and then some background mountains and hills, and then the trees. And then there's coordinating dies that go with it that now give you another really fun tree kind of background, and then some mountains, and then these kind of do like a tree line. And then there's this little cute squirrels and rabbits, and then the little fox that gets die cut out. So I'll be using that set quite a bit in the future because I love Grassy Grove, and this one's really fun. So this is that new one, In the Grove, and I made it into a shaker. So again, this is still going to be that easel card. And so with the easel card, what you're doing is you're taking an image or a shape, and that's going to be popped up so that that easel then kind of rests on that part to keep it open. So it's a great card to showcase both sides of your designer series paper, as well as being like a display card. So this is the first one, and this is also using some of our new colors and new designer series paper. It's called Thoughtful Journey, and it's another really pretty kind of scenery designer series paper. So there's those little rabbits, aren't they adorable? On with it. So but that's it. So that's kind of another little fun one. And like I said, you can make this, you can make them into a shaker card. You can make anything into a shaker card, I think. So, and then this is one of the new in colors, that Petunia Pop. So I'll be showcasing more of the new products and stuff in the near future. But so that's one kind of fun idea. And then another one using some of that new paper. And what we are going to be doing today is the Encircled in Nature stamp set and dies, which is online only. And so that's what we're going to be using today. And a lot of the stuff that I'll be showcasing you today are a lot of our products that are online only. So make sure you visit my website to get those. I'll put a link down below, or I'll try and remember to put it in here when I edit the video. But here's another one using that Encircled in Nature. And then this is some new paper that'll be coming out May 1. It's I think there's like 5 colors, but it all kind of has a little bit of that iridescent look to it, kind of a frosted. It's really pretty. And then this is more of that designer series paper that does that scenery, which I think is just so pretty. And then I used the little thoughtful, the branch and stuff, the punch to punch that out. So again, there's it, just needs that little bit of a pop-up to give you that easel card. And again, with this set, you can do so much with it. You'll see in some of my future, some of the samples I'll be showing, I alternate what I'm doing in the center part. So this one, I took that center piece and I embossed it with the timber embossing folder. And then these are all the die cuts and the stamps and stuff with it. So it's a very versatile stamp set, but that's another one. So again, kind of fun. And then here's some more. So these are, again, they're all going to be that Encircled in Nature. And then this this is, if you are a pumpkin subscriber, you can get, this is like an add-on. It's a die and there's like the shape, and then it has the two, to make the butterfly, which I'll be using that today to show you as well. But that's like $12 online. So it's kind of a sweet deal. And then this paper, what I'm using, again, this is online only. This is that Meandering Meadows paper. Again, it's just beautiful watercolored floral background that you really don't need to do much to it. And then here I'm just using up, this is one of the retiring colors, Orchid Oasis, that retires come April 30th. So I kind of used that. But on this one now, I did vellum, and then I did a little bit of the, I embossed the vellum with the retiring time-worn 3D embossing folder, and we'll be using that today too. So again, that's in the, you can still purchase it, but it's after April 30th, that'll be gone, that folder. So again, in here, I just kind of layered the trees and stuff that are in that die set, the Encircled in Nature. It comes with the flowers. And then again, this little easel, I did my butterfly. So again, it's kind of fun how that die cuts it and has these wings in that pop up. And then again, I've got those on dimensionals. And then again, I kind of like to decorate, you know, that back part, because you do kind of see it. And then when you open it, you can open it, you know, like normal. You can do your message here. And then I just did some retired, that ombre Orchid Oasis glitter paper. And then I just kind of left this blank. You can put some of your sayings here if you want, but I just kind of like, because this is like a display, I don't always like to have my message right there. So I don't know, this is goofy me. But, and then you can always put the message on the back too, but that's another one. And then I did another one. So now this one, so again, this is all that Meandering Meadow Designer Series paper. And then I broke out Melon Mambo. I can't remember the last time I used this color. I don't know why. That bright fuchsia pink is just not always my go-to color, but I used it for this. So this one, I've got a little bit of the Melon Mambo. I've got that Orchid Oasis. I threw in some fresh freesia because that all kind of coordinates with this paper. And then on this one, again, there's that beautiful scenery from that Meandering Meadow Designer Series paper. And then I just did some more of the die cuts. And again, that easel. So this one, I left it, so that it's just like it's see-through. So there's nothing in that middle of that wreath. So that's another way of doing it. So really pretty. Looks like a little witch hat from an angle. But that's that one. And then I did another one. This is with Blueberry Bushel. And again, this is another one where I left, the wreath empty in the center. So there's more of that Meandering Meadow paper. And then I just did some of the stamping blends, and I added some retired little pebble stones in there. And then my Thinking of You was just a circle that I popped up on dimensionals, and I just threw those little flowers behind it. And so on here, this one I did take a triangle. I had some of the retired triangle dies from a couple of years ago. Otherwise, you can just cut it like I do. Well, like I'll show you today. But if you have the triangle dies, they work pretty slick in this card technique as well. And then again, more of that Meandering Meadow Designer Series paper that I just kind of cut in half to make those triangles. And then using up a lot of my retired ribbon. That's another. And then another one, this time I took, instead of just doing the die cut cardstock, I did it on white, and then I colored it with Stampin' blends on those little flowers. So I'll be showing you how I do that today on the card that I'm going to be demoing. But again, there's that beautiful Meandering Meadow paper. This is the back side of one of the colors. And then this one I did Lemon Lime Twist for my card base, and then fresh freesia, and then a little bit of Granny Apple Green for my stamping. And so that one, I took a butterfly and I just stamped. I used, well, it's now sold out, but it was that eucalyptus embossing folder. It was like a little mini one. You got two different ones. So I did that, and then I colored it with Stampin' blends. And then this butterfly is from the retiring Meadow dies that you can still get through April 30th on that one. So I just kind of did that on some shimmery vellum. And then again, there's that beautiful paper. So So I got my 2 Mother's Day, for my mother-in-law and my mom. I got their Mother's Day cards already done. So, but again, super fun. I love it. And since a lot of times, like, you know, you do see the back, I do put another layer on just so that you don't see like the, you know, the stamping or any of the stamping. Like if you had done blends, you don't see that in the back side. So I just kind of do another layer just to cut it up. And then here's another one where I colored the wreath with the Stampin' blends, and I did a little bit more of that time-worn 3D embossing folder with the cardstock, Melon Mambo, and then this is Shaded Spruce, and then a little bit of Granny Apple Green. And on this one, I took that center and I made my designer series paper be the focal point on there. And then again, I've got that little butterfly, and then here's my paper carrying through. And again, there's another just kind of easel on that one. And then the last one I have to show you was this one. And again, it's using that same paper. And on here, I did the timber embossing folder for the center part. And then on this one, I actually stamped the wreath and I die cut it out. And then these are the trees that come with it and the little branches. And then I threw the little bird embellishments on there. And then I got my little squirrel from the In the Grove die cut. And then this one, I just took that, again, that timber embossing folder to make it look like a little slice of a tree on there. And then again, there's that beautiful Meandering Meadow designer series paper. So we are going to be doing kind of a version of this one today, give or take. I'll change it up a little bit. But again, it's another great way of using up your designer series paper to showcase, you know, your the both sides. You know, you can do a lot with the decorating, you know, like go to town using up your scraps, and another way using up some of your retiring ribbon and twine and stuff like that. So we are going to get started. So what you're going to need is so it's the same fold, the bookbinding fold that we've been doing, where it's your card base that is 4 1/4 by 11. And we're still going to score at 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. But then we're going to do a score diagonally on that front here so that we can get our easel to fold. So that's your card base. And then for the designer series paper, you're going to need, now, and this you can really, you know, you can change it up. I like to use a full, you know, 4x4 on this part because that's your base. But if you want to do, you know, the triangles, you can do that too on that side. It doesn't matter. But for today's purpose, I am doing it as just a 4x4 square that's going to go on the inside. So that's your inside. And then for my outside, because this is the part where it's, you know, you're getting those 2 triangles. You're basically taking, it'll be a square, and then you're just cutting it diagonally in half. So if you want to get the alternating, you know, because I did one and I did the other side, or if you can do cardstock, you're going to get multiple pieces, and you will have you're going to get lots of scraps left over. So, because these are all the scraps that I have just from making these cards. So you will have extra pieces that you can use, you know, where you can mix and match. So basically on the front one, it needs to be 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And then you would cut that in half. So again, I had a cardstock piece that was that size. And then I had a piece of designer series paper that was that same size. And then both of those I just cut in half. And then I'm just using one of each for my front. And that's just, but again, if you want to change it up, you totally can. And then for your spine on the front, that will be, you know, you can do designer series paper or cardstock, and that's 1x4. And then for the inside, same thing. It needs to be a 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 square that you cut in half. And again, if you want to, you know, you can change this up whether you have the design. It all depends on your pattern, really. Because you'll see some of my samples, I had the cardstock up here, and sometimes I had the paper down here. It all depends on how that triangle, once you have it cut, how it lays out with that. So again, you would need 2 pieces, and again, you're cutting it in half, and you'll use those other parts for another card. And then whatever you want then for the die cutting. So I've already die cut this, and I'm going to show you how I did the coloring on that. So I've got that die cut, and that I glued onto another piece of Melon Mambo because I wanted this to have a little bit more support so that it wasn't too flimsy when I glue it down. And then for this die, I've already kind of die cut this just to save on some time. But when you get the Encircled in Nature, so this is the stamp set. So you've got a stamp that does the wreath, and then you've got the trees that kind of go inside here, the flowers that you can go, you know, all of these can go inside this frame. And then you've got sayings, and then some other trees. And then when you go to line this up, there is, when you look on the stamp, let's see if I can show you this a little bit. Oh, here. So, let's see, I'm just trying to see my camera angle here. So right, I don't know if you can see that, right here where it's not continuous, there's a little break. That is where you line up when you go to do your die cutting. There are these tabs, and those tabs, oops, where's the other one? Oh, right here. Those tabs get lined up over that open space, so that way you're die cutting it out perfectly on there. And then if you put these two together and die cut them at the same time, that's how I got my wreath that's already kind of cut out on there. So I kind of did all that already just to save a little bit on time. But, and I think I've shown this stamp set before in some other previous videos, but all right. Yeah, and so then what I did is, so I've got one. So when you cut this out, you're going to be getting, every time you cut a frame, you're going to get pieces left over. So again, you've got lots of parts that you can use, on future cards, because when you cut out, like for example, the flowers, you get this. And then when you cut out the big wreath, you get this solid one. And then if you cut out the smaller wreath, you get this one. And then when you cut out those two wreaths together, that's how you're getting this piece. So you're going to always have lots of pieces left over to do things with other cards. I always just have my little baggie full of all my die cutting that I've done that I can always just reach for if I'm missing a piece or anything. So I did my frame in pecan pie. I did this in the Very Vanilla. And then I cut out, because this is going to be a backing just to give it support, I just cut out another piece from key lime pie, or not key lime pie, sorry, lemon lime twist, and then another piece of that pecan pie paper for the wreath. So just to kind of make that a little sandwich and give it some support. So let's get going on the folding and scoring and kind of assembling it. Get these pieces out of the way. All right, so on our card base, again, we were going to score at 4 1/4. So we'll score right at 4 1/4, and we'll score at 5 1/2. So then that's normally how we would, we would fold this in half. And then this becomes that little 1-inch, spine there. That goes back to make our bookbinding fold. Okay, so then now this is your card front. So on this square here, this 4-inch square section, you are going to score diagonally from the upper right hand corner down to the lower left hand corner in that score line. So I'm just going to open this up, and on my scoring thing, I took a Sharpie and just drew a line down the center so that anytime I do diagonal scoring, I can line up this point and this my other end point on a line so that I can score diagonally straight. So make sure those are lined up, and then we'll just score that. And I do like to go back and flip it over and then score on the other side, just because this piece moves a little bit, and so I want to make sure that all of that is going to score. Good. Fold nicely for me. All right. So this is, so again, we have it folded in half. Here's our bookbinding part. Then this piece here, you are just going to, I'm just going to turn this around. You're going to turn it over and you're going to fold down. I'll flip it over here again so that you're getting, so this has to basically be a mountain fold. That diagonal part is going to be that mountain fold. And then that's how we get our easel on there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and assemble. So that's it for the folding. I mean, I love these bookbinding fold ideas because there's so many, they're so easy, and they're kind of unique cards too at the same time. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put my 1x4 piece of designer series paper on first. Yeah, and this Meandering Meadows, it's a 6x6 pack of paper, and it's just beautiful paper. And again, this is one that you can just get online. So a lot of our products now, they're just available. They're not going to be always in the annual catalog. They always bring out new stuff all the time, which makes it kind of fun. Okay, that's for the inside. So then the outside, again, I had taken that 3 7/8 piece of designer series paper, and I cut it in half diagonally, and then my other piece I used for another card. And then I took another cardstock that was 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. I dry embossed it with my folder, the Time Worn, and then I cut that in half diagonally, and then I used that other piece on another card. So these are going to go, and so the reason it needs to be that 3 7/8 instead of 4x4 is just because the way this triangle fits. When I was doing the 4x4 and cutting it in half diagonally, it was a narrower border going around. So I found just taking, an 1/8 of an inch more off did help a little bit better for the triangles. So this is going to go on the bottom. And again, I got this, pulled it a little crooked here. Let me fix that. There we go. Alright, so we'll just put that on the bottom. Oops. I just got a little bit of a glue booger. Alright, and then here, we're going to make sure this, yeah, and this Time Worn, I got a Time Worn embossing folder. I always got to make sure because it's got letters on it, that I'm not putting it on upside down. Okay, so that is our front. All right, then we're going to open it up. Now I do want to put, especially on my bookbinding, I do like to use the tear and tape or any type of strong adhesive. So I'm just going to run 2 strips down this center part, because then that's going to close. And a lot of times, like, I'll do a ribbon, but I think I really wanted to showcase this paper. So I am not probably going to do ribbon on this one. I don't think I will. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off and close it up. So then you got that. And then this is going to be that this one can be 4x4. And this will be your designer series paper. So again, there's that Meandering Meadow and that Melon Mambo color. Yeah, and that's how old, like I never even purchased an upgraded ink pad. Like this is still the old cloth style pad, just because I just don't use that color very often. So it was kind of nice to be forced, you know, to use some colors, go outside my normal comfort, you know, color zone. That's what I do like about these designer series papers, some of the color combos that you can use. All right, and then for this part, again, if you don't want to decorate this part, you don't have to. I just thought it kind of continued on, and again, I can put my greeting in. So again, this one, the way I had my paper cut, really this one needs to be, you know, on that bottom part. So again, that was at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, and I cut it in half. So again, that other piece I had used for another card, and then same thing with the cardstock. I had another piece right here, you know, that I'll use for another card on it. So we can go ahead, and I think on this one, before I attach it, I am going to do my stamping. So I know I am going to be using the saying that is from Encircled in Nature stamp set, and this one, it's that cursive, may this year be incredible and filled with possibilities, is what I'm using. I know, look at my old pad. That's the old fabric. It still works. It's still inked up, so. But yeah, not a color I use. Yeah, you should put a comment, like tell me like what colors, you know, like do you never use, but yet you have. Or what are your favorite ones? Because the pinks are not always my go-to colors. All right, and I just did my foam mat just because this is photopolymer stamp, and I always find that it gives a little bit better inked image when I use a little bit of that foam. Have a little bit of cushion when I'm stamping. All right, so there's the end of that. So now we can go ahead and attach that into the inside. Am I toward the end? I am toward the end. Yeah, making all those samples. Like, I just couldn't stop. I don't know. Sometimes I just go to town when I'm making my samples. Now I got to get all these cards mailed out. I've been making cards, but now I got to get them addressed and into the mail to everyone. All right, that'll go up there. And then again, this was that bottom part. So we'll just attach that. All right, so now for the pop-up part to make sure my easel stays in place. And this again too is where I like to go back and I give this a little bit more of a sharper crease just to kind of help keep that easel in place and not kind of flopping around, just making sure. And that's why I always like to make sure that that crease is nice and firm on there. Okay, so I'm going to do the butterfly. So again, I already die cut my little butterfly. So again, it does one, that's the solid part. And then the other image, you put that smaller, oh here, I'll grab it just to show you how I did this. So this is what you die cut out to get that. Then this part, you basically put this then on top of that. I mean, you can cut them all together at the same time. And then that's how you get this. So it's connected. You know, this piece isn't a separate piece. It's all connected. So you can either do your butterfly, you know, you cut both of these pieces together at the same time, or you can just cut this one out and just get your solid butterfly. So that on that part. So I've already cut mine, and I did crushed curry for the base. And then I went through that time-worn folder again, just to give it some texture. And then I double layered it because this piece is going to be popped up, but I wanted it a little bit more stability. So I put 2 layers of cardstock together. And then the glimmer paper I took, this was that rainbow, God, when we had that unicorn set. I think it was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but I still had some scraps left over. And again, it kind of matched the Melon Mambo on there. So I'm like, oh, I'm just using it up. So, all right, let's see if my glue, hopefully, oh yeah, good. So I'm just going to put glue then on the border. You don't want to do it on the pop-up pieces because I want my butterfly to be able to fly. And then this then gets attached on top of the solid one. So you can do for this pop-up, you can do die cuts, you can do punches, you can do your word sayings. You just need to give it a little bit of dimension just so that it keeps that easel in place. So once that's all glued together, I am then going to, because on this one, let me look here. I could get away with not having it, but see how it kind of flops sometimes? So it does need that height. So we do need to add our dimensionals on there. So I will add a few of these. And then I'm going to keep this butterfly kind of at an angle. And then I just kind of check to see, you know, where so it's going to stop the easel part. It'll keep that held in place there. And then again, you can kind of fold it close. And so as long as you don't go too crazy, you know, height-wise, thick on that, you should be fine for mailing on there. All right, so now for my frame. So I went through and I die cut using this one. I did this in vanilla and then I colored it, and then I did another one. I die cut it out and glued it to the back in Melon Mambo. And that's just like I said before, just to give it a little bit of stability. So on the coloring, I wanted to show you really quick how I did this. I went through first and did all of the green, and the greens that I did the Stampin' blends. You can just use your Stampin' Write markers too, or you can watercolor, you can use, you know, whatever medium you want really for it. But I went through and I did with the darker color. So I did the dark shaded spruce, and I just kind of scribbled a little bit with the darker color. And then I went with the Granny Apple Green and then just kind of filled in on top just to kind of give that two-tone look on the green part. And then for my flowers, I did not have the Melon Mambo Stampin' blends, go figure. So I have old retired, one of our old In Colors lovely lipstick from a few years ago, but it's pretty close. So I just took the dark and the light, and I kind of just colored. I did like a little V because I'm making my little buds on my flowers. And so I did that with the darker color. And then I went in with the lighter and blended. And then for the yellow, I did the dark Daffodil Delight, and I just did the little tips of the flower buds. And I'm going to go, I see like I just missed just a little spot here. Here we go. Yeah, and what's nice with the blends, you can always go, you can go back and forth, and you know, on top, keep blending it to get that dimension. So then that's all colored, put together. So like I said, I have my other pieces that I have die cut out, and I have these all put together because with this frame, you do want to make sure you're keeping everything lined up. So I'll kind of with the die cutting. So before I do that, I do want to stamp on my, I got to make sure I'm going in the right, because you have to have this lined up. Okay, so this then will be, just so I don't go stamp upside down. Okay, so we're going to stamp right there in the center. And on this one, I am doing from the Layering Leaves stamp set. There's a punch that goes with this that punches out those leaves. We're going to do Best Wishes. I just love the font on this set. And this is one that is going to be continuing on. So that'll be in the new catalog as well, because it's carrying over. And on this one, I think I'm just going to ink this up in Shaded Spruce. This pad is pretty juicy, so, and then we'll just do the Best Wishes. Perfect. Now this is my color. I love greens and blues. Those are my go-to colors. And then I do want to add a little bit of texture to this. So I am going to real quick throw this in my time-worn type embossing folder. And like I said, this one is retiring. So oops, I want to make sure. I have been doing some other stamping and I think there was ink. There was ink on there, so I don't want that ink transferring over to my folder. So I'm going to do this really quick off screen with my embossing machine. All right, so now that's texturized. We can go ahead and attach that. So what I'm doing is we're going to line these up. That is, hold on here. There we go. It's like putting a puzzle together. It's going to go together like so. And I'm just doing all these layers just to give it support. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my wreath on first. So I'm just going to glue this. And so I always pick, when you're cutting this out, you'll see one side is a bit, it has a bigger space where there's not a lot of, you know, the little nubs. So that's kind of what I focus on, just to find my parts so you can get it how you, to layer together, basically. That's kind of what I look for. All right. And then, so then there's that more. So that's going to go in like so. And I think, or no, that's going to be covered up, so you're really not going to see it. Okay, that'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Or I can just tape this actually. So again, we're finding that spot, and then it just kind of nestles in here. And then now I can go ahead and attach my wreath on top. And I do like to, there's this one part here that kind of hangs down more. And a lot of times I just like to have that be at the top. And then so when I'm looking at this, I want to pay attention, because you're not going to put glue, for example, on these outside ones, because they're going to be freestanding. You know, they're not touching any of the paper. So I'm really going to focus the glue on just the basically the circle, and then those little section of flowers that float down. And then when I put it on, if I need to go back and like add glue somewhere, that's when I kind of lift it up and then I just prop some of the little liquid glue on there. But I'm not putting glue on these outside ones. Okay, I think that should be pretty good. And then you'll just lay this on top. And then I always like to just take a block and just press down just to make sure that it's getting adhered. All right. And then this is where I kind of do my spot check. So if I need to, so for example, these, I can just go in and add a little bit of glue if I wanted to. Otherwise, you can just leave it too. I mean, it is held together by that out, you know, the circle part. But all right, and then because this is being attached, where it's going to be half of it is exposed, I do, and this is totally optional, I do like to continue that frame on the back. So on this one, you're going to flip it over because it's the back, you know, just to make sure that this is lining up. So now I'm going to put glue on one side of this, and then we'll just attach it. And this is totally optional. This is just Linda being Linda. I like a lot of layers. All right, now I got to find my, oh, there it is. So then, just make sure that's all on. There we go. Perfect. So now we have our little wreath all assembled. Fun, fun. And then now this can be, you can either pop this up, you know, with dimensionals, or you can just do direct the tear and tape. So I think on this one, if I do, how thick am I getting? I think I'm just going to do tear and tape just because I got a little bit of thickness here from my butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and just do tear and tape just to hold this in place. So you really only want to have, so I usually put it on here first. So you see that I'm centered. And then I just kind of lift this up and take a peek. And then if you want to cheat, you can just take a pencil and then just draw a line so that then I know I only put adhesive here on the bottom half. That's the cheater way of doing it. And then you can go ahead and, I mean, this really won't show, but you can then erase that pencil line. Because oh my gosh, I made the mistake on one of my mini samples I had done. I put the tape on the wrong side, so it was upside down. I was like, oh, Linda. All right, so tape's on the bottom. Making sure we're centered. And then before I press super hard, I just do a spot check just to make sure that it's in place there. And I got one little piece here that's sticking up, so we're just going to glue that down. All right, so now that's on. Now you've got your easel part. And I'm going to add a little bit of bling on my butterfly. So we're going to use, these are the tinsel gems. These are still current, and you can still, they'll carrying over in the catalog, but they've got a little bit of sparkle to them, but they've kind of got that shaded spruce, blueberry bushel, lemon lolly, and then this is like, it's a variety of pinks. I think I've done it with, you know, the melon mambo. I've done it with the berry burst. This is kind of a versatile pink that you can use. But I think on my butterfly, I may just do the, I think I might do the green, just to bring in that green color. So, oops, whoa. I'm gonna put a larger one on the bottom, and then I'll do one of the smaller ones on top. And then on my wreath, so these are online only too. These are the dragonflies and birds, little brass embellishments. So I think on here, I'm going to do, maybe I'll just do my little dragonfly. Let's see here, do I want to do, and we can just put it right there. We'll do one there, and then we'll do kind of another one off to the side here. Whoops, or not. Ha! Oh. There we go. All right, so that is the Bookbinding Twisted Easel card. So again, another really fun display card that shows off both sides of your designer series paper. And again, it kind of finishes off using a lot of your scraps with it and some of your die cutting pieces too. So this completes my Bookbinding Fun Fold series. So if you have additional folds that you want to see other options of how you can do those folds, drop me a comment in the below, and I'm going to be working on what to do next. I was kind of thinking of doing variations of gatefolds or variations on some of the Z-fold cards. So, but yeah, thanks again for watching and stopping by. If you have not yet done so, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have a great and creative day. Thank you again. Bye-bye.